Good morning and welcome to everyone. On behalf of Newtown's Morrell Smith, American Legion Post 440, I'd like to thank Principal Susan McCarthy and the entire school administration, staff and faculty of Council Rock North High School for joining with veterans for the 28th consecutive year to allow students and the community at large to recognize the contribution of veterans and to honor those graduates of Council Rock High School who have given their lives in defense of freedom. This coming Sunday marks the 94th anniversary of Veterans Day, formed out of Armistice Day, which marked the end of World War I on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month of the year 1918. The Newtown American Legion Post itself is named for a young lieutenant and Newtown resident, Morrell Smith, who gave his life in that war. The year 2012 also marks the 51st anniversary of what most consider to be the official start of the Vietnam War in '61 and the 11th year of fighting in Afghanistan against insidious enemies who attacked us on September 11, 2001. My name is Tom Yeagle. I'm a Vietnam veteran and member of American Legion Morrell Post 440 right here in Newtown. It's an honor and a privilege to be your MC today, to pay tribute to these Council Rock graduates whose portraits are on the stage in front of you, as well as all Council Rock graduate veterans and veterans of military service in defense of America throughout the world. As a Vietnam veteran, it's particularly moving and humbling for me personally to play a small part in honoring these men, 13 of whom gave their lives in Vietnam and 7 of who attended high school during the same years as myself. 14th and 15th, Bob Dabowski and Kenny Elwell, gave their lives in defense of freedom in Iraq and Afghanistan, respectively. I speak for all veterans present here today on Veterans Day 2012, as we're all proud and honored to recognize these men who never had a chance to return and to become veterans. The program which you're attending today began 28 years ago as a modest gathering on the second floor hallway of this building, which houses the Wall of Honor. And students, may we suggest from time to time, stop by for a moment, particularly today or early next week, and take a look at the wall honoring former students who sat there one day just like yourselves and absorbed the meaning for everyone. Today, this day of recognition has grown into a capacity-filled auditorium consisting mostly of students eager to broaden their knowledge and understanding of history and Veterans Day tributes. By way of background, there are 3 military oriented national days of recognition. Armed Forces Day on the 3rd Saturday of each May to recognize active service members. Memorial Day on the last Monday in May to remember and pray for those who made the ultimate sacrifice. And Veterans Day on November 11th to remember all those who served. While today's program pays specific tribute to our fallen Council Rock grads, but also the veterans of all services and all wars and conflicts, beginning this Memorial Day in May 2013, we will be having a program for you during the week preceding Memorial Day, specifically to honor those Council Rock students who have paid the ultimate sacrifice. Plus, and then next November, have a separate Veterans Day program to honor living veterans. So we're going to be divided up into 2 different programs. Today's program, therefore, is a transitional one to adopt the new format and have our programs comply with the intended meaning of each day. In audience today are veterans of various eras, including World War II, Korea, Vietnam, the Cold War, and the Middle East. Our veterans of World War II and Korea stand proud by their service that thwarted the expansion of evil rulers. Vietnam veterans fought in Southeast Asia to hold back communism. This eventually contributed to the fall of communism in Eastern Europe and the transition of China from an isolated totalitarian communist state to the transitional state sponsored capitalistic society that is an important member of today's world economy. And for the record, as one North Vietnamese general noted, the American military did not lose the war in Vietnam. North Vietnam was near defeat when the tide shifted due to intense public protest in America. Veterans of Desert Shield and Desert Storm defeated Saddam Hussein's attempt to take over Kuwait and steal much of the world's oil supply. And our youngest combat veterans have stepped forward and performed valiantly after the attacks of 9/11/01 to battle terrorists where they live and train, much to the detriment of Afghan citizens, where we're still fighting, and who, despite the enemy's continuing efforts to control them, are enjoying newfound freedoms that they never had before American military forces arrived in Afghanistan. The fruits of the service and sacrifice of veterans can be seen throughout the world, as evidenced by the hundreds of millions of people who live in freedom in Europe, Asia, and the Middle East. And after their service, these veterans have played vital roles in their communities, trades, and professions, and have made America that they once fought for a far better place for families, friends, and neighbors, as witnessed by our guest speaker, as well as all the veterans and active personnel who took time to be here today. Veterans and active duty military personnel, please stand to be recognized. On your feet. Leaves this auditorium more informed and more inspired by the men and women who have served and continue to serve our country through military service, as well as the day that celebrates them, Veterans Day. And students, if you want to do something meaningful this weekend, take a minute to thank a friend, a neighbor, or relative who has served or is serving. You can email them, call them, you can even text them and just say thanks. It'll mean an awful lot to them. Okay, Sergeant Arms, post the color.
Post the colors. Colors are proposed.
Please remain standing as the Council Rock Master Singers, directed by Jared Williams, will perform our national anthem. Veterans, stand salute.
Whose
Please welcome the principal of Council Rock North High School, Mrs. Susan McCarthy.
Let's give another hand for the Master Singers. Good morning, everyone. As three principals before me have welcomed you, I too am proud to welcome you to the 28th observance of Veterans Day at Council Rock High School North. Because the memorial of Council Rock's fallen servicemen in our second floor lobby was undergoing renovation several years ago, we gathered in our auditorium to continue this tradition. This setting has enabled us to invite not only our honored friends, but also many of our second period social studies students in grades 9 through 12. So I welcome everyone here this morning. On November 11, 1921, an unknown American soldier was buried on a Virginia hillside overlooking the city of Washington, D.C. While the burial site of this World War I soldier in Arlington National Cemetery symbolized dignity and reverence for America's veterans, similar ceremonies took place in England and France, where an unknown soldier of the Great War was buried in each nation's highest place of honor, Westminster Abbey in England and the Arc de Triomphe in France. This day became known as Armistice Day. Unfortunately, the war to end all wars was followed by World War II in 1939, during which 400,000 additional Americans gave their lives for their country. In 1954, President Dwight Eisenhower signed a bill proclaiming November 11th as Veterans Day, calling upon all Americans to rededicate themselves to the cause of peace. As we gather today to honor Council Rock High School North's fallen and missing Vietnam, Iraq, and Afghanistan servicemen, we are extending our honorable tribute to all Americans in all wars. In honoring Council Rock's own today, we extend our tribute to all Americans who have fought and will fight to keep America free and secure. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McCarthy. At this time, please join me in recognizing the Vice Commander, Morrell Smith, Post 4 for the American Legion, Mr. Skip Scarborough. Our Commander, John Guy, who's also a captain in the Army Reserves, has been called to active duty to support the Army Corps of Engineers, which is supporting FEMA and the Sandy relief efforts in New Jersey and New York. So we still have a couple guys in the Legion who still serve in the military. So Skip, our Vice Commander, would like to say a few words. Skip.
Good morning. Welcome everyone to our annual Veterans Day ceremony. Today we are here to say thanks and show appreciation, to express gratitude for those veterans who served to give us our freedom. Keep all veterans and those still serving our country in your thoughts and prayers. Thank you for attending, and God bless America.
In the audience today, we have some folks we'd like to recognize. First of all, Bernadette Heenan, school board member. Bernadette, are you out there? We also have Anthony Eck, who's going to be the new Veterans Assistant to Mike Fitzpatrick, Congressman. Anthony back here. I know the Congressman was supposed to be here, but of course he's getting ready to be real busy in Washington, so he might still show up before the end. Also, would like to recognize a couple of very special guests here today. Sergeant Sean Hours, United States Marine Corps recruiter. And a recent recruit of his, PFC Kyle Fenton, Council Rock graduate. And then Also in the audience today, we have a couple of new recruits who will be joining the Marine Corps after graduation in June. The sergeant's been at work. Christina Cardone and Victoria Zepp. Are you out there? Okay. This storm messed up a lot of things, including our guest speaker. We're scheduled to have Brigadier General Daniel DeLuca, Commandant of the Engineering School at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, as our guest speaker today, but the General has been temporarily reassigned to command emergency storm recovery operations in New York. So at this time, I'd like to introduce our substitute guest speaker, General DeLuca's friend and Post 440 member, Colonel Lawrence Shore, U.S. Army retired. By way of background, Colonel Shore was commissioned as Second Lieutenant in the Regular Army in the Army ROTC at Penn State University in '81. He was assigned to Germany, served as platoon leader, company executive officer, and training officer for the battalion in which he served. After that, he went into civilian engineering work for the Army in the Kansas City District and at Fort Riley, and also later served as Headquarters Company Engineer Battalion Executive Officer. He was a supply officer during the battalion's participation in Operation Desert Shield and Desert Storm. Following Desert Storm, the Colonel left active duty and accepted a commission in the Army Reserve, and then he served in Galveston and Kansas City districts for the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. In 2004, he was mobilized, returned to active duty for a year, serving as operations officer with the headquarters of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. He was promoted to colonel in 2006 when he joined the North Atlantic Division as a Reserve Deputy Commander, a position he held until his retirement from the Army Reserve in 2011 after 30 years of service. In his civilian career, Colonel Shore has worked as construction manager, civil engineer, and engineering manager on a variety of projects, including port facilities, underground utilities, residential commercial developments, and both the private and public sector. Currently employed as a civil engineer at Joint Base McGuire Dix Lakehurst over in New Jersey. Colonel Shore is a graduate of the Army Command and General Staff College, a registered professional engineer in Virginia, Texas, Pennsylvania, New Jersey. Holds a BS in engineering, civil engineering from Penn State, master's degree in systems management from the University of Southern California, and a master's degree in environmental engineering from the University of Houston. Colonel Shore's military awards include the Bronze Star Medal, Meritorious Service Medal, 2 awards, Army Commendation Medal, 2 awards, National Defense Service Medal, Southwest Asia Service Medal, 2 awards, Army Meritorious Unit Award, Army Superior Unit Award, and Army Air Assault Badge and Parachutist Badge. So the Colonel's quite accomplished and more than a fitting substitute for the General. So please welcome Colonel Larry Shore.
Good morning, everybody. As of the first part of this week, my job this morning was to, as you've heard, introduce our guest speaker, General Duke DeLuca, who was a friend of mine, colleague, and my former boss for the North Atlantic Division. He presided over my retirement ceremony, in fact, a year and a half ago. He went down and took command of the engineer school at Fort Leonard Wood. I asked him if he would come back up here and speak with us, which he enthusiastically agreed to, and like I said, up till Tuesday, he was on his way up here. Then a rather unruly lady named Sandy came through our area, and as happens in the military, plans can get disrupted. The Colonel General DeLuca right now is, along with a lot of other engineer officers and military officers, as you heard Captain John Guy, our post president, supporting the response effort to Sandy, trying to get people back to their homes and so on. The Army Corps of Engineers, one of the missions is to assist FEMA, government, local states with disaster response. Right now, General DeLuca is still in Fort Leonard Wood, but as the commander of the engineer school there, he has people, engineer captains and majors, that are now deployed, that he's identifying out of his cadre down there and the student body down there to go up and support the recovery operations, help people get back to their homes and get their lives back together. This is just one of the many ways our military supports our country. You look at the military, and the first thing you think of warfighting, and that is indeed our first mission. Regardless of the uniform, the Marines, the Navy, the Army, we all, our first mission is to defend our country. But we also defend our country against not only those enemies on the field of battle, but the ones that don't necessarily have names, aren't necessarily other people, natural disasters. In fact, we provide that type of support all over the world. Enemies can be those who actively fight us in natural disasters. Our National Guard is regularly used to fight forest fires, to help with flood support, to respond to the devastation caused by earthquakes. Recent changes in our law allow the use of reservists to also support that fight. Active duty forces respond on a regular basis. Those of you might remember several years ago a massive tsunami hit many of the countries in Southeast Asia. Aircraft carriers participated in that response. They're an awesome weapon. Aircraft carrier can bring a great deal of destruction upon an enemy. Carry a lot of planes, a lot of bombs. At the same time, it can also be used to land helicopters, support relief operations, provide relief supplies. They have hospitals on board aircraft carriers, surgical suites that are as good as any hospital in any city, provide medical care. And they were used for that. As military members, we take an oath that's a little bit different than just about any other country in the world, and in fact, any other country in history. Military members typically swear to support, defend a monarch, a political entity, a country. The United States military is a little bit different, particularly the officers of it. I've taken it several times. We don't specifically swear or affirm allegiance to or the support of a monarch, a president, a country. And it's a very subtle difference. When I take my oath of office, I say I swear to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. For those of you who have read, and I hope everybody here has read the Constitution, and occasionally goes back and looks at it, it starts out with the words, "We the people." And then it goes on to set out a set of ideas that create an atmosphere where the people rule, where the people govern themselves. That form of government has worked very, very well for the last 200 years, or more, almost 250 years, and our military has supported it during that entire time. Our military supports that ideal, which forms the basis of our government, our society, and how we live in freedom. And that is unique, as far as I can tell. I spent some time last night online just looking at other militaries and their oaths and so on. Best I can tell, it's unique in history. It's one of the things that makes our country unique. Our military is the people. And we serve the people of this country. Defending that ideal has taken military members to places across the road and to our backyards. As you see now, where we have our people deployed in New York, New Jersey, helping to recover. In recent years, where there were forest fires, you see military members are right out there defending and helping, as well as fighting in Afghanistan and supporting governments and our friends all over the world. Last I heard, the Corps of Engineers had people involved in supporting governments in over 60 countries in the world. It may be more than that. I'm not as connected as I was a year and a half ago when I retired. When you look at veterans and the contribution that they made, the sacrifice they made, keep that in mind. Still serving, still supporting the Constitution of the United States, this idea that fires imaginations all over the world, allows us to gather as we do today, or at any time, express different ideas, and have elections no matter how rancorous they might seem, as they did leading up to last Tuesday's election. It's an election that will lead to a peaceful change of power within this country and will continue to have this country go on and grow. So it'll be here for you and hopefully for your children as well. Good morning and have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry. At this time, we'd like to recognize State Representative Steve Sanaciro and our Congressman Mike Fitzpatrick. If you guys would stand up and stand over. We'll now have the lane to read for our veterans. Larry Kerwood, U.S. Army veteran, will conduct. Larry? Please stand while the wreath is being laid. Thank you. We'll now have the roll call of honor. American Legion members Chuck Resch and Skip Scarborough, both U.S. Army, will call the names of our graduates who never had the chance to become veterans as they were killed or missing in action.
Captain William D. Booth, class of 1959, United States Army, Vietnam, May 12, 1970.
Lieutenant Daniel A. Hennessy, class of 1960, United States Army, Vietnam, December 28, 1966.
Sergeant Nelson C. Luther, class of 1960, United States Army, Vietnam, May 9, 1970.
Lieutenant William S. Geary, class of 1963, United States Marine Corps, Vietnam, April 5, 1969.
Airman Douglas A. Post, class of 1964, United States Navy, Vietnam, July 29, 1967.
Captain Walter H. Sigafus, class of 1964, United States Air Force, Vietnam, April 14, 1971. He was MIA.
Lance Corporal Narvin O. Whitman, class of 1964, United States Marine Corps, Vietnam, August 7, 1967.
Chief Warrant Officer Robert O. Hill, Jr., class of 1965, United States Army, Vietnam, September 27, 1970.
Warrant Officer Robert S. Scott, Jr., class of 1965, United States Army, Vietnam, August 27, 1967.
Specialist 4th Class Harry C. Wilson, class of 1966, United States Army, Vietnam, November 18, 1967.
My classmate, Warrant Officer William H. McDonald, class of 1967, United States Army, Vietnam, January 24th, 1969.
Private First Class David Looms, class of Private First Class David Lowndes, class of 1968, United States Army, Vietnam, May 1st, 1970.
A close friend of mine, Specialist Street Frank M. Meds, United States Army, Vietnam, May 27, 1967.
First Sergeant Kenneth B. Elwell, class of 1997, United States Army, Afghanistan, July 17, 2011.
Specialist Robert Dembowski, Jr., class of 2005, United States Army, Iraq, May 24, 2007.
Thank you. Everyone can be seated. I would like, please, to ask the families of those just recognized, can you just please stand? I know the Elwells and the Bowskis are here. Everybody stand. Esther Singer. Thanks, Bruce. Today's soldiers, sailors, Marines, and airmen operate today with an unprecedented commitment for duty and love of country and service. They are supported by citizens through the efforts of organizations such as the USO, provides entertainment to our troops in far-off lands. You'll see that commitment in the sounds and faces of this video. Mr. Gamble?
Let's go! Yes, I hear it. Yeah, here we go. Now that's what I'm talking about. Yeah. We're going to start with harmony. If you know the words, sing it. Go like this. Over there as we head to the future, and the caissons go rolling along. In the town, hear the shout.
think you all agree, with people like that, they ain't got nothing to worry about around here. Cheers for all those folks. Couple things in closing. First of all, just a moment of silence for all our veterans living and deceased. Sergeant Arms, fire the colors.
All right. Retire the colors.
Veterans, active duty, hand salute.